Okay, well, welcome in, folks. If there is anyone, I see I am participant 1, host, me. Welcome to conference room 3. This is Mick Haley speaking to you from Harrison, Michigan. Harrison Middle School is where I teach, and I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher there. Currently history, but I've taught geography as well. Currently, right now, I do have a wonderful ancient Greece unit that we're working on, and that's what we did today. So always enjoying history, always enjoying the classroom. But very happy to be here today to talk about learning to show up in your own backyard. Because in addition to being a social studies teacher, I'm also a city councilman for the city of Harrison. We're going to kind of talk about how we got to that point. And as I'm in here, I'm just hoping that the lights stay on. They are motion censored. So if you see me waving frantically, it's to turn the lights on. Okay, let's see if we can get this to go. All right. So, welcome. Today for this presentation, what we were going to be covering is how middle school students learn how and where local government operates. The assignment and subsequent information all deals with how and where local government operates, thus showing up in your own backyard, keeping it local. Admit. Hello there, Ellen. Welcome in. I think it's just you and me right now. I got this thing started at 5:35.
Sounds good.
And just in case, since you are the first and only, we may be the only souls here. Can I go back? Oh, nope, got another one. Scott.
Understood completely.
There we go. Can you hear me, by the way?
I can.
Yes. Okay, good deal. All right, then we got Scott. Howdy, Scott.
Hey, crew. How's it going?
Doing well.
All right. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Scott. It's good to see you again.
Long time no see.
Right.
Who do we have in Conference 3?
Conference 3, that's right. So let's see, I see attached to MCCE and MDE. Is that your associations here? Roger that.
That's correct. Yes, that is correct.
Cool. All right. Well, here, I'm just going to back it up. I don't know if I cut into anyone's, like the previous Zoom. Like I started my stream at 5:30. So let me just bump this back. All right. Okay. So we'll go again here. And if anyone joins, I'll make sure I let them in. All right, so learning to show up in your own backyard. That's my presentation today. There's Tom. Here we go. Maybe I'll just wait 2 more minutes. I'll wait 2 more minutes here.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Take
I don't know.
time.
I don't know.
We have
I
time.
need to be on
We're
this
good.
one. Okay. Howdy, Tom.
Hi there.
Glad you could join us.
Well, now that I see who's in the room, I don't know.
Good to see you too, Tom.
Sorry, Scott, Nell, and I have been hanging out a lot in the last couple of days.
Very nice. Good. We got a good crew then. I suppose I'll probably wait. Yeah, I'll probably just wait another minute or so, see if we grab anyone else. In case anyone was eating some dinner, had to do that.
Yeah, there we go.
Hello there, Leanne.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Am I the only one here?
We got a little bit of a party, and I see Annie Whitlock is coming to join us.
Okay.
Howdy, Annie.
Hello. There we go.
Good to see you.
You too.
All right, same deal. I'm gonna wait maybe just a couple more minutes, see if we get anyone else. All right. So let's see, where is everyone joining us today? Where's everyone stationed? Annie, are you now in Grand Rapids?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It will be in June. So
June.
now I'm coming to you from Clarkston, Michigan.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent.
I'm in Muskegon, or actually Montague today, but I work in Muskegon.
Yep. There you go.
And I technically work in Lansing, but I am coming to you from the south side of Grand Rapids in Kentwood.
Excellent. Ortonville. Excellent. Nice spread today.
Yep. And Mick, I'm right down the road. I'm in Cadillac, actually technically at the MD department in Lansing, but yeah, I'm right in Cadillac here.
Cool. Perfect. Practically neighbors. All right. And then I see MCSS webinar. So does that mean I'm good to go? Should I go? Sure. We'll go. We'll get it going.
You can go whenever you want,
Whenever I want.
Mick. Welcome,
All right.
welcome.
Good deal. Okay, well, excellent. Welcome in, folks. Good to see you all here. This is my first time doing a Zoom presentation like this for a conference, so I'm pretty excited for that. I'm glad you all could join. And I'm very excited because today we get to talk about learning to show up in your own backyard, which is a topic very near and dear to me and pretty exciting. So this is more or less kind of the journey of how an assignment has affected kids, affected the community, and affected me. So I'm very excited to share this with you all today. Again, my name is Mick Haley, hailing from Harrison, Michigan, and in Harrison Middle School. This is my 7th year teaching 7th grade social studies. Done a lot of geography, specializing, and this year and last 2 years have been history. So very excited for that. Got our ancient history going on. All right. Thank you, MCSS webinar. All right. So what else? Attached to it as well, City of Harrison City Councilman. We're going to talk about how this affects the presentation here. So learn to show up in your own backyard. Thank you all for coming. Let's get this show on the road. Today, we're looking to do a few things. We'll be talking about how middle school students learn how and where government operates. But as folks take this with them or wherever they go, I would love for them to think, how can they apply this to high school, middle school, elementary, wherever you are. I hope folks make some adaptations and changes to their liking. But the gist of this is we're going to be talking involving students, parents, and local government entities in the learning process, how that produces unique experiences that revolve around the important issues of today. So the focus and emphasis here being the local, keeping it local. That's why we're talking about showing up in your own backyard. So as we go, talking about how I came to the reasons for sending 12 and 13-year-olds out in public to go to local government meetings, making connections to some state standards, the ones especially involving civic participation, And for folks, teachers, or anyone else that is involved to kind of imagine a timeline from collecting information to the end of the assignment. And hopefully we have a little discussion for those who are interested in results and troubleshooting as they figure out what they would like to do when they adjust this assignment to what they have, the population that they work with. So the beginnings, a great spot to start. 7 years ago, I moved back to Harrison. That's where I graduated from. That's where I was raised, and that's where I've been working for the last 7 years for my fantastic social studies job. I've been working in a great building with great admins and great staff and even some great kids. So when I returned, I remembered one thing that I thought I would like to emulate was a government meeting. I remember as a high schooler for government class, it was assigned, we needed to go to a local government meeting. And the high school is no longer doing that. I saw that there was an opportunity, especially for someone who is interested in government and getting kids involved. So I had some inspiration to get going with assigning this government meeting to my kids. So just to back it up a little bit too, Harrison, Michigan is very rural. We're out in the middle of nowhere, Clare County. And rural Michigan has some challenges, especially when it comes to if you want to take your kids to a museum, introduce them to professionals, places to engage in learning outside of the classroom. Those are rare opportunities, and I feel, like our folks that are up in the UP or northern lower, all of our rural areas are kind of hard to get to these places. So I had to figure local government, it's the closest, it's the best I can do. So that's what we're going with. And with 12 and 13-year-olds, I figured this is so important. We're only going to do one homework assignment. This is it. It's just show up to a meeting, get to a government meeting. So some of the inspiration behind this too comes from the standards. And I hear a lot of people complain about state standards, and that's fine. I find them to be a lot more flexible and malleable. I can do what I want with them. So the one I grabbed is 7P421, if anyone really cares for that. But knowing how, when, and where individuals would plan and conduct activities intended to advance views in the matters of public policy, and kind of emphasizing reporting the results and evaluating the effectiveness. So that's kind of the crux of this whole assignment. I said, I'm going to make this standards based. We're going for it. And that's the one. That's my winner. So parameters, that was something I needed to figure out quickly and early on. This is a second semester assignment for me, and only for my 7th graders, because in Harrison, I have all of the 7th grade students. We don't have other teachers teaching 7th grade. So I can make sure that all of the 7th graders go to this. Second semester, mostly because I've had the kids for a long time. They need to do something interesting or exciting in that second semester, and getting them out into the real world is usually pretty fun to do when it comes to second semester. And just getting into the nitty-gritty, we have marking periods. So this grade goes into marking period 4, but we start in January. I give them all of second semester to do this. So January to June, 6 months. And their responsibility is very simple. Go, take notes, and report back. Nothing overly complicated. I don't ask for any slideshows. I don't ask for anything other than them to pay attention and be able to engage in conversation when we get back into the classroom, and them engage with their peers in this conversation. So, and this definitely starts very, very early on in the year. when I send home a letter at the beginning, this goes out with the syllabus, what to expect. And I say specifically that in the second semester, there's going to be an assignment, and I'm going to need you to be able to go places for this. So in the letter home to start in September, August, they are aware that something will happen in the second semester, and then we take the whole second semester to do this. So then we go to where do you live, which seems like a funny question to ask kids because they think they all live in Harrison, but in reality, no, they don't. Maybe their zip code is, but there's a lot of definitions to where you live. And I do need to cover that part too. So when I do give them this assignment, a lot of them whine and complain because all kids whine and complain about homework. That's just their knee-jerk reaction. Some do have some interest when we start talking about government because they've certainly seen things online or on TV. So some of them are aware, and some of them are completely clueless about what I'm even talking about. So then we get to where do you live? Where do you need to go? For Harrison, it's a 2x2 city. There's 4 square miles. Some of the kids think they live there, but they don't. The zip code of Harrison covers 800 square miles. So when they generally say Harrison, they're somewhere in that 800 square miles, which is a huge area. And even our school district, if we say you're going to Harrison, you have 12 miles north to south. And what do I have there? 14 miles east to west, where these kids could be living for the Harrison School District. It's massive. It's enormous. That's what happens in rural Michigan. Certainly the suburbs and urban schools don't cover that kind of area. So this is just more specific to my kids and what we go through. But again, if you're adjusting to what you want to do, you'll have your own info to work on. And eventually down here, all this area, the school district covers 9 townships in 1 city. So it's very large. We're talking a huge chunk of area here. So where do you live becomes very relevant very soon. So this turns into the initial assignment, me asking, where do you live? And very easily, we just pull up Google Maps. Hopefully they know their address. Some of them I have to help them out, figure out where they live, type that in. But they type in their address and we do a little map activity comparing it to the township and city boundary map because these kids need to figure out where they actually live. We've got a lot of different townships to choose from, 9 and 1 city. So they have to figure out of these 10 places, where should they go? And then we answer it in a Google Classroom. Kids do ask me, where do I live? After we've done this, usually months after, say, where do I live? Go look in the Google Classroom. It's there. You know where you live. You typed it in. So after that initial one and finding out where to go, this is the teacher part here. I have all these meeting places organized with addresses, dates, and times. And that is very useful because, again, they need to know where to show up, when to show up. Otherwise, they won't show up. I'm not sure if I click on this, if that'll pop up or take me to a different window. But in this presentation, there's a link to my meeting organizer. You can check out what that looks like. But it's just a Google Doc. I might as well click on it. Where is it going to take me? There. It'll take me there. You all can still see that, I hope. So this is a document I refer to literally every single day. These are the places that I tell them to show up. And I have it organized month by month. All these places, starting with the Board of Education, because I always feel that's the most important. Those are the folks that make decisions for the kids. So they should know where and when to show up for that. But going right down the list, I give them a bunch of different options for their townships, city council. I've even done neighborhood watch meetings. They usually get excited for that because someone will bring food. Food is always a good way to get kids to show up. But that's my link in what the government meeting organizer looks like. Then make them think about how to go to a meeting and make a plan. Since they are 12 and 13, they clearly don't have driver's license, and they definitely need to figure out, how can I get here? Which is a wonderful opportunity to start talking to parents, friends, parents, family, literally anyone who can get them places, or start to figure out, can I walk to these places? Can I bike to these places? How's it going to look like in January versus going in May? So making a plan to execute this goal is very, very important. And that's just something I stress as a rule in my classroom, being able to make plans after you set your goal and then follow through. Let's see. Okay, then after they've been given the assignment and they've made their plan, this is it, reminding them literally every single day about the assignment. That usually takes me a minute, but being persistent and doing it every day really pays off for me, because they at least remember being annoyed about me reminding them. So at some point they don't want to be annoyed anymore, so they figure it out and they go. And I do stress how important it is. It's extremely important. I assign a huge chunk of points to this because it's my values. I believe that this is important and that they need to do it. It's a state standard. Get it done, go do it. Every single day they do complain. Some will. Every single day, some will come up with some excuse. Doesn't matter. Keep beating the drum. I don't really go for any alternative assignments for this one. Kids ask me, can I go to my 4-H meeting, or can I go to this meeting? And if it's not government, I just say no, it's not government. Okay, maybe they get lucky and go to Lansing or Washington, D.C., but I haven't had any kids go to Lansing or Washington, D.C. So I'm just very strict on that. Anyone else doing this assignment, you can figure out what you'd like to do and what works for you. So as a goal for the students, the basics: where to go, when to show up, pay attention, know who is there. Besides the folks that are running the meeting, there's usually someone, some visitors who are there who bring important information. So knowing all these things, very important for the kids. These are the goals I set out for them. These are the ones that I can relate back to the standards. But really, my goal is right here. It's America. All these kids are part of America. The citizens have control. You have the choices. You have the voices. You have to know when and where to show up to speak, so people pay attention to you. So kind of drilling this in at a young age, 12, 13, they're very impressionable. And I think it's a really good time. Some of them aren't ready, mature wise, but a lot of them really do a great job. And they understand how important it is to get involved and really own being a part of America. So a lot of them can get behind that. So the results, once they get going to these, everything just depends on the kids. I asked them to report on this, share your experience, what happened. And the meetings happen, weekly, daily, all over the place. There's really so I don't ever put this in my plans. When I prep for the week, I just know that at some point I'm going to be asking the kids to share, and I need to be flexible, because some days no one has gone to a meeting. Sometimes I'll get 4 kids and they all want to share because they had something interesting happen. So flexibility is totally key on this. And you got to be ready for zero participation or maybe 15, 20 minutes. So letting the kids take it over. And I let them talk. Kids, as I say here, some of them are very good at remembering every single detail. Some of them, they need their notes. Otherwise they will forget it, because they usually forget what they have for breakfast. How are they going to remember what happened in an hour-long meeting? So I let them talk. Some of them know everything, some of them don't. I make sure everyone in the class listens. Just give them all the attention. They've earned it. They showed up. And I do just emphasize how important it is to show up. In life, showing up is very, very important. This is important. We're giving you all the attention. So this is me kind of relying on the kids to provide material for my class. It's all what 100% is. So I need them to help with it. I help them. And this is kind of how the second semester rolls. So besides their stories with what happened, and some of them are boring, some of them are very interesting. I get some very unintended results as well. Since kids are kids, some of them will try to lie. Usually ask them 2 questions and they're like, yeah, you're right, I never went. Like that, I know, don't waste my time. Keep it going. But this one is really important, getting the parents involved. When I started this, I didn't realize how much I really did need parents to get this to be successful. But usually the parents have to give permission to attend. They have to organize the rides. The parents will participate at the meetings because they'll show up with their kids. And that's probably my favorite unintended result is, these adults who generally don't show up to meetings, don't get involved. This provides a wonderful excuse for them to know when and where to show up. So this is kind of a 2 birds with 1 stone thing, getting the parents and kids involved. Some of the kids really do become interested in government, and I've had to open up extra credit opportunities for kids that want to go to multiple meetings because they just thought it was super interesting. And it could be anything from how much it costs to paint a water tower to what drug busts the police have done to what parade is happening next. Something interests them and hooks them in some way. So getting them interested, is that my intended result? I don't know. It just happened though. I'm very happy with it. Also, when the kids show up to the meetings, these the government leaders, all these trustees, council members, they absolutely love to see these kids show up. They are happy, and since we've been doing it for so long, they expect them to show up. They'll ask them, "Are you Mr. Haley's kids?" Absolutely. So that's a really exciting thing too for the kids who are very nervous to get a warm welcome. Failure. What to do with the kids that never go. So not all home situations are ideal. Not everyone gets to go home to both parents. Who knows where some of these kids are ending up when they leave the school. So some of them really do struggle to get to places like a meeting. I do keep the pressure on because I give them 6 months to do it. But in the very end, I plan a walking field trip to the city hall. We've also done the Clare County Municipal Building. We're fortunate enough that is walking distance. And the folks that we meet at City Hall and at the county building are fantastic. They love seeing the kids. They love talking to them, getting them involved. So it's a good way to get them there somehow, some way. They don't get to see a meeting, but they know where to show up and they know who is there. And usually something interesting to go on with the tour. again, talking to the folks that are there. We usually get to talk to a city manager, talk to a judge, talk to some clerks. All of those are really cool things that we've done before. Kids get to ask questions. It's great. I give them half credit. If they at least make it to the walking field trip, I'll give them half credit. Maybe some people will do different. That's just what I do. And I've been comfortable with that. So after doing this for years, obviously I'm going to some of these meetings as well, because I'd like to see if the kids are there. I'd like to see what's happening. So I was going to different meetings, checking out the school board, township, city board of commissioners at the county level, the road commission. These are all meetings that I've personally attended. And then we've got the lovely COVID that happened. COVID shut all these in-person meetings down, but we did have the luxury of going to virtual meetings. And I had the students and we showed up to a virtual meeting that was particularly filled with drama. And after that one, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can get involved. I can do this. I've been to enough meetings. I feel confident. I'm gonna give it a go. So in 2020, I ran for city council and I lost. But there was a vacant seat after the election and I was appointed to that. So 2022, I'm up for re-election. I put in my paperwork. If you listen to the news, I heard it on the radio, said all the election paperwork was due yesterday for the August primary. And all this kind of stems from me starting this homework assignment. Because when I got the kids involved, I got involved. And again, kind of an unintended consequence of this. We reached the moral of the story here. So I found local government is and will always be the most accessible form of government. These are your neighbors. These are the folks that, these kids know, their grandparents, their uncles, aunts. They are people in the community. They've bumped into these folks before. So it's super accessible. If you have a problem, they're the most responsive. If your trash didn't get picked up, if your road didn't get plowed, if you're having an issue with a neighbor, this is the government that you go to. So on your day-to-day life, I find local government is definitely the most impactful. So getting the kids involved with the highest impact, I feel that's the best choice for this assignment. And again, Lansing and D.C, fantastic options. For us, way too far away. It's 100 miles door to door from Harrison to Lansing and a little bit further to D.C. So those are we haven't scheduled many field trips for that. It's just not a realistic thing for me to incorporate as an assignment. And for my kids, it's just easier to get involved with local government. They show up, they know who can get involved. They ask their parents about this stuff, and it's just easy to learn from. They're there. They can be there. Learning in person, it's local government's the only thing that provides that. So all this is just the most important stuff to me for this assignment. Moving on past that. So again, when we're talking about collaborating in all these changing times, you have a whole bunch of different people getting involved. Parents, teacher, kids, whoops, where am I going? The government entities, literally everyone has to get together to make this work. So there will be some troubleshooting that different folks have to do if you want to do this, different adjustments that you want to make. I find 7th grade is a great age. Some people might think that's too young. I love it. The kids love the drama of some of these meetings. And when it's boring, they will tell you that it was just boring. Their honesty is perfect. I love it. And they really are impressionable. Middle school is a great time for kids to try things out. And why not try out government? why not? So getting them engaged, they can do it. They can be very responsive, and yeah, I just find it's perfect. If I taught another grade, I'd do it too. Communication, if you're another teacher trying to do this, whatever works best for you. I don't know what works for other people. For me, it is just sending letters home. I don't get all the parents on my, text or other messages. I send the papers home. Do they have to eventually get out of a backpack and into a parent's hand? Yes, but I send a few papers home. But you do what's best for you. And just other things to think about too. What works for you? Do you need this done over a marking period, a semester, or a trimester? Again, I give them 6 months, which I feel is incredibly reasonable. But since a lot of these meetings only have a meeting per month, that's really only 6 opportunities to go. So for the kids, they have to understand that too. Maybe some people want this as a full year thing. I don't know how that would work with grading, but for me, second semester is perfect. All right, so questions. So we are 6:11, and I'm gonna pull chat and see what kind of stuff we have. If you want to ask anything. Oh, I see a lot of conversation. Lansing can be interesting. Yep.
So Nick, actually, I'm just going to jump right in. We're a small group and pretty intimate group here. We know
sure.
each other very well. But one thing I want to say is, first of all, thank you for bringing up this topic. If you had a chance to see my message, one of my slides hits on this space that I'd really like to see social studies educators, specifically classroom educators, getting involved in their local governments. And it's one thing where we're consistently talking about getting involved with government. It's another thing when you're an educator who is involved with your local government. And that's extremely impactful when you can stand in front of a class to talk about government, how it functions, and say that you are part of that, a policymaker in a sense. Well, you are, in the case you are.
Right.
So that's a big deal in community. And secondly, this group's been talking very closely and about community involvement and the need for community in order to support our students in student learning and social studies education. So your space that you're creating, and Ellen hints on that in the chat, you'll notice that she was talking about how she was voluntold to be part of this space, but it ended up being impactful for her. That was, I think, probably similar to the rest of us, that we had some sort of assignment or something like this, that we had to go to a meeting or see how a government functions in one way or shape or another, and it drew us in. So my mind, I think a lot of educators go to this type of space and think, well, that's so old school, like forcing kids to go to a meeting. That's like, that's something that I had to do.
Right.
But the reality is it's introducing them to how government really works. And a lot of them come away, they may not tell you, but I think a lot of them come away with, oh, that's how that works. Or
right.
Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, even some of the goofy stuff like, oh, they do the pledge there, or, oh, a lot of times they're saying I or yes, or they took roll, or just some of this like silly things that they catch on to. I mean, those are the basics. Those are basic things that happen at every single meeting, and that they hear from all these kids all the time. But just getting them to see, and they love when people show up who are angry. And that's what happens. People come and they've got something and they're ticked off and they need to let someone know about it. Their neighbor did something bad, or they're just mad at the city. These are things that folks deal with at every meeting. You didn't grade my dirt road when I wanted it, and it got too dusty. Like, that is a rural Michigan thing to complain about, and that you'd be surprised at how many folks get angry about that. But that's stuff that hooks the kids. But knowing that this is the space that if you have something that you think the government can handle, this is where you do it. Are there more respectful ways of doing it? Are there more controlled ways of doing it? Sure. And some of my 12-year-olds are more capable than some of the adults, but that's something that we also learn and teach them too. It's like, you guys are already smarter and are more capable than some of these people that you're seeing. I wish you were the role models, and that, we just kind of play with that. But yeah, so just being a part of it. And again, it's very, the local part, all the glitz and glam go to the national stuff, go to the state level, but it's inaccessible other than on TV or on the internet. Being able to see the nitty gritty, see it happen in real time, in person, it's, you don't get that at other places. So that's really kind of my most important things for the kids to just notice. But yeah.
I'll just keep going because you just piqued my interest, if you don't mind. And
Sure.
So I love Ellen's point here, the question in the chat. I'm curious too. And I put in this initiative, this Vote 16. This is a nationwide group that's for local policymakers, and I'm ecstatic about this. And yourself, they'd be able to vote for people like you, people like me. I love the idea. But do you see your students taking those kinds of steps? And if so, how has that impacted you in your position, positively or negatively?
All right, so let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I find this. So doing what is this vote16usa.org? Is that what we're talking about here? Doing the action plans?
Yeah, so just to,
Yeah.
I'll summarize. So for
Mhm.
example, this group, and the name I put in there, this young lady is leading an initiative, and they've made some serious ground, and in fact are talking with our legislative leaders to put a bill out. In fact, Ellen, correct me if I'm wrong, they may be close or have to make this happen.
Mhm.
Now there's some limitations. It does not mean all scenarios, but it does mean for certain positions, like school board, for example.
Mhm.
I think is one that they might be, a 16-year-old would be able to vote for under the bill recommendation.
Yep.
But not to say that your students have to go to that level, but maybe you've seen your students, like they were at this board meeting and at the school board meeting,
Mhm.
and they'd like to have a say about dress code change, or they'd like to wear a hat in the classroom because they feel it's a right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us if you've seen that.
100%. And that's the school board one, I stress more than any of them, because every single time I say, these are the people that make the decisions about, what are you learning? When are you learning it? How are you like, these are some huge things that affect you directly. You don't have to pay taxes as a 12-year-old, but this stuff definitely impacts you every single day. So as making like action plans or anything like that, I haven't gotten to that part. That would be that I feel if we had a little bit more cohesion along the levels, the 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever, going a little higher up, as the kids mature more and can organize themselves a little bit more. I would love to see that. That'd be great, because they have student council, so those are things just for the daily, but like being able to talk to a school board and ask them, these are the changes that we would like. This is what we need to see. And we are, we're the ones that you're servicing. So we need you to do this job for us. So I would love to see that, that I feel that would be a little higher for my other kids. I think I'm okay with the introduction. I'll give them the introduction. I'll get their foot in the door, tell them where to show up. But I think I'd have to let someone else take the baton and go from there. But that's again for people that want to adjust this to how it would look in their district. Absolutely, team up with someone else in the building or in the district, knock it out, do it, go for it.
Well, Mick, I really appreciate the creativity you used in finding a standard that would allow you to do this. And because so many times we hear, I'd love for my kids to do this, but there's so many standards in 7th grade already, which there are.
Yeah. Yep.
But this is a really creative way to get kids engaged and involved. So kudos, that's really cool.
Right. And I thought about it too, where it's just like, sure, they could Google it and figure out who's there and what happens. That's lame though. Like they need to show up. This is something I need you to experience. And I do. I find that the standards can be flexible. You can make it work. You can tweak it.
Well,
Read it. You can read it how you want to read it.
And the difference between the kids Googling it and filling out a sheet and then showing up, I mean,
Right.
I think it's better for the kids. It's also better for the community, right? Because now the kids are in the community and the community members are seeing the kids being engaged.
Yeah. And it adds to my classroom culture too. Because some of these kids that have gone to meetings together, like they have running jokes that go on with this stuff. There was a particular meeting where like a treasurer for a township quit. He quit on the spot, was like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't like this anymore. The direction we're going, I'm done. So the kids were just like, whoa, what just happened? This is crazy. So they've just been like making jokes about this for like the last month. So it turns into a classroom culture thing too. Where's Dave? Dave quit. That's yeah. Yeah.
Do you have experience with students going multiple times, like because they just want to find out what's going to happen next?
Some of them have, absolutely, and they asked me if they can get credit for it, and I turn that into extra credit. I don't care if you want to show up to 3 meetings, 4 meetings. I'm not going to stop you, and I will reward you. Go ahead. Like there's no reason for me to have them pump the brakes at all. If you're into it, go for it.
I love that you're rewarding the initiative. And I think that's really important in civic engagement, that while I mean, in real life, it's not, the end result isn't always rewarding, right? You've taken all this initiative and darn it didn't work, right? But I think at a young age, that reward is really important, to say, oh, I did this extra and got rewarded. Like, oh, I see how that might work because I took this extra effort. So that's really great that you do that.
Yeah, I have to, I have to, and it's good. They're very happy, and whenever they do get done with the meeting, I make sure I get their points as soon as possible. If I'm at the same meeting, I'll just get on my phone, boom, points, you already got it, because it does take some stress off of them too. Because I put the stress on. I put the pressure on. I say, you guys got to get to this. So they're very grateful.
On the Lansing field trips though, like I agree with people in the chat. Like I was just in Lansing last week on behalf of the Michigan Council for the Social Studies, and we were just talking about how much better our presentation would be with students there.
Yep.
But I was also really happy to see that a lot of legislators are, or I guess were, former teachers, and how many of their staff too were former teachers. So a lot of them were very happy to meet with us, and we ended up just sort of teaching for a while, especially social studies.
Yep.
Surprise, many of them were social studies teacher.
Yep.
So, I think they would love to meet with students.
Yeah. Again, they do. Anyone, all these people, they love it. They love to see the kids, and they love that they're trying. They just love to see effort. You're here, you want to listen to us, you want to learn something. That's crazy. Fantastic. Let's do this. So they almost, they give them a very warm welcome. So I'm sure taking them down to Lansing would be a really good experience too, just to get them, to little higher ups, let them meet them. That'd be great. But that's something too, if I called up my state representative and said, hey, can you just come in on this one day? And, that's fortunately one thing that could be possible. So if we don't go down to Lansing, maybe get a state rep, maybe get a state senator. It's a lot easier than the federal level. So
do your fourth grade, do you know if they're, the fourth grade in Harrison goes to Lansing or the third grade? That's sort of like the rite of passage for third and fourth graders in the state, is to go visit the Capitol.
I couldn't tell you
your
offhand.
team up.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you offhand, especially because we, with the COVID weirdness. I don't know if that's something that got canned in the last couple of years, but
yeah, that could be a cool team up. Maybe your seventh graders could go with the fourth graders.
Give them a little presentation on the stuff that they've learned. And that's another thing too, prior to the meetings and stuff, we do some digging, we do some research on government, we figure out, talk about the different branches, talk about who has what responsibilities. And this is more or less the Googling part, where we have like, well, this person holds this seat, they're responsible for this. We do a little, we turn it into a mobile, so they can see who's at different levels. But that's they're not going to meet the president anytime soon. So that's the one that we Google. But yeah, being able to present something like that, present that information, be like, hey, we know about the governor, we know about our state senator, we know about our representative, talk to the little kids. I could see that being a good connection.
Talk to us a little bit about how you balance your community leadership role with your educational role, because I'm sure you've had to face times in policy discussions and making that may not necessarily be so as supportive as you would like it to be for school. And sometimes administrators and others may not like that very much. Tell us how you deal with that space within your school and for your students and parents.
Absolutely. So, one thing recently that has definitely will get people animated and interested is the city of Harrison. We recently opted in to selling cannabis, and of course, talking to the kids about that. Middle schoolers aren't quite mature enough to handle that long conversation, but definitely gets their attention. But some parents have very strong feelings on that. Some have very strong feelings in the other direction. So, being able to kind of have that conversation and, talk to the kids about drugs. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that went through the DARE program, that are now adults that are like, wait, what? Now we're talking about drugs, but you can buy drugs and it's all legal. So that's a weird balance, something to handle. But, if the kids want to talk about it and talk about it in a mature way, we've done it. So as soon as they start going the other way, I'm like, well, okay, we'll move on to the next thing. But that's probably the most recent and most interesting for the kids is how that's unfolded. But other than that, I don't think we haven't had to fire anyone's parent. Haven't had to do anything like that yet. So that maybe that would get pretty intense, because we review people and their performances, and maybe it's not a parent, but maybe it's their cousin. It's a small town, literally everyone's related. So if you end up firing someone, you're gonna make everyone else angry. So that's a balance. I haven't had to tiptoe that one, but there's certainly opportunities where that could happen. Yeah. I don't know. Anyone else for like how you might adjust this to your sphere? I'm just curious what other people might think they would do with this. I don't know.
So one of the things, thinking about a lot is so I work with the Michigan Center for Civic Education. And so that's this is like gold, right, for all of the different type of programs. And there's one particular, it's curricular called Project C, Project Citizen, Project Community. And it is about impacting public policy at the local level. And so I'm really curious about ways to integrate, because I mean, we've heard people talk about this before, but ways to integrate the physically attending a meeting in order to help kind of get an idea about what is persuasive at the local level and what is not persuasive at the local level, and kind of humanizing government to some degree as well.
Right.
So we have kind of the curricular pieces of saying, now, how do you understand, like, what is your awareness about things in your community, situational awareness, working a lot on human-centered design about how do you create solutions, and who do you design them for in order to have maximum impact, and then doing simulated public policy hearings. And so I think that's probably also what motivated the question about, so what's next? They attend, what's next?
Right.
And so always curious about that whole what's next piece, but it's a really interesting way to think about spatial awareness, geographical awareness, socioeconomic considerations as well, and starting to design a better future, which I think is hopefully inspiring for kids. Like, oh wait, I can be government, I am government, and what can we do to make it better?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Awesome. Well, what do we say? I got 35. I don't know what time I'm out of here. Think soon.
All good.
All good. Okay, cool. Well, hey,
Thanks,
I
Matt.
appreciate all you folks so much for showing up to this and allowing me to share. Hold on. Thank you. Look, I even have shout out Annie Whitlock. There you go. So go cultivate some collaboration with your kids, with your kids.
So proud of you, Mick. Good job.
Thanks. And if anyone did want to look, this is like a part of the letter that I send. I don't know. It's attached. Is there some place that I could attach this slideshow? I'm just curious if that goes anywhere. If I could do that, if anyone wanted it. I don't know.
Did you put the link to it in the chat? Is it online?
Do you have it in a Google folder? Is that where you store it, Nick?
It's
Seems like that should be able to
just
go in the
just
app.
Google Slides. Maybe just
Yeah, if you could just if there's a link and then open a share, then all of us could access it.
okay.
Mick, I think you did give me a heart attack when you said you've been teaching for 7 years.
Ah!
So Mick was in my social studies methods course when I taught at MSU. So now that he's like a veteran teacher, it's sort of making me feel old.
We're getting up there with age, huh, Annie? Is that? I was just smiling with the teaching comprehensive history because I noticed names in the emails, and 5 of them were former students of mine. And I just that is the theme of the day today, which is wonderful. I'm very glad.
That is cool. It's very cool.
It's a legacy. That's what that is. Legacy.
There you go.
There you go. Awesome.
Okay, this is great. Thanks so much for presenting. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
Have a good
Thank you
night,
for having me.
everybody.
Guys, have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.